was a pretty neat thing to be on on a card like I was collecting, 15, 20 years prior to that. The coolest thing of all was not being on the card, it was being able to pick a gift out of their catalog. You could get a toaster, you could get a knife, you could get a sweeper. If you went in and saw Cy Berger, the great Cy Berger, the father of baseball cards, and he had some catalogs with him, he'd hand everybody a catalog and we'd go around and say, Cy, I want this, Cy, I want that, Cy, I want that. Baseball cards.
Coming up on this episode of MLB's Carded, we take in the National Sports Collectors Convention. We're going to catch up with the crime dog, Fred McGriff, at the Hall of Fame, and get in a visit to the Yogi Berra Museum in search of some vintage. But first, we lead things off in Seattle at the 2023 All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, where we hung out with artist Lauren Taylor.
I've loved baseball for a long time. I grew up in Seattle area actually, and it was the 90s Mariners, which kind of started my love for baseball. Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, all those guys. And yeah, it's been kind of surreal making my own cards now because I collected them and enjoyed gathering them as a kid. I tried to do equal mix of players that really I loved growing up, players that I had known were great but never got the honor to watch, like Willie Mays. I did get to meet Willie Mays, but never got to watch him play in his prime. And then also keeping in mind that baseball's evolving and there's kids that were me. I used to be that kid that would look for a Griffey card, so I wanted to make their Griffey, which is Mike Trout, Ohtani, things like that. Really focus on players that are inspiring a new generation. So keeping in mind, it's not all my project. I'm passing it on, and I want to speak to the people before me and after me with my cards. So I was trying to find a balance of that. I would say my favorites would be the Edgar Martinez, that whole 95 series. It was a perfect moment, so I had to do an Edgar Martinez. My box set Griffey's pretty special. It's my second Griffey card I had done, but it was the first one where it was part of a pack. Like, you could rip it. Felt like I was doing what I had always done and loved. This is the most special card to me. There's little Easter eggs in here that are personal. They were for a friend who had lost her son, and I donated a portion of autograph versions of these to her. That was my way of, keeping him here always, and in collections that are all over the world. So it's my favorite player, my first Griffey card, and I got to honor somebody special to me in it. So yeah, this is the one. I'd already played college fast pitch, so I wouldn't say I was like on a trajectory to keep playing ball for the rest of my life by any means, but I took a line drive to the face and head about 6 years ago. Had a traumatic brain injury. Didn't really understand how serious it was at the time. It was a really tough road that just kept kind of evolving, and my attention was really limited. Really hard for me to focus on things and get motivated about anything until I started focusing more and more on art, and I was able to bring sports into that. And it was the perfect combination where I found kind of my mental health again by rediscovering myself in art, and kind of pulled me out of the darkness a little bit because I finally found something I could do again. This was all birthed out of the worst time in my life, the hardest thing I'd ever gone through. So, it really puts things into perspective a bit, and when you are able to create something out of a dark place and then it becomes the thing you're most proud of, even if I had done that with no obstacles in my way, it would have been special. I think added in all the complex things I was trying to navigate, it was just, it confused me, but in the most beautiful way. I was like, this is my own card? Like, this is my own Griffey card I'm collecting? What? It still doesn't really make sense sometimes when I look at it, but I'm so grateful. Last year was my first All-Star game and my first home run derby, and watching Julio Rodriguez was a real highlight for me. I'm excited about him as a player, and I loved being there. So now that it's in Seattle, getting to create pieces that represent the home run derby as well as the All-Star game, I hope they really represent kind of what fans are excited about, as well as a little bit of the city in it.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Wow. Love that.
Thank you. I don't think it's very common you get to take your passions, for me, art, baseball, and even mental health. Not a lot of people get to take their favorite things and shove them into the thing that also pays their rent. It was a weird road. It wasn't always easy. Like, I'm glad it was a bumpy road, because there's no way I would have ended up finding a way to combine my favorite things. It's incredible. I'm so grateful to the people that support it.
All-Star Week also saw the launch of Fanatics Live. What is it? Who's involved? What does it mean for the hobby? Where do I sign up? So many questions. I went on the field to get some answers.
You know him, Scott Rogowski, who's now part of Fanatics. Fanatics Live launched here in Seattle All-Star Week. Perfect time to do that. Tell us everything you can about Fanatics Live.
Yeah, well, this is the brand new, latest and greatest live streaming out built specifically for card breaks. Now, card breaks, if you're not familiar, this massive element of the hobby pretty much is the engine that drives the sports card hobby right now.
Right.
Where you've got people who are called breakers who buy the boxes, buy the cases of cards from the manufacturer, distributors, and they open them live on camera, live streaming through the computer, through different apps.
I love that.
So what they do is they buy a team or they buy a division, and they can buy a spot in the break at a lower price point, and they get every card from that team, every card from that division. So now it's like, hey, I'm a Mets fan. I don't care about Yankees players. I don't care about Red Sox. I want the Mets cards. You can buy the Mets cards from that break. You get all the Alonsos, all the McNeils, all the Sengas.
That's crazy. So walk us through like what people see on Fanatics Live.
So on Fanatics Live, the breakers are opening the packs. We've got cameras on the cards. The cards are the heroes, right? Everyone's here for the cards. So the packs are being opened live. We're seeing what's coming out of the packs. We've got cameras on the breakers themselves because the reactions are fine.
I can only imagine. Like,
We're hit live on the field from the first time ever, breaking on the field of the All-Star game. I'm still trying to process what just went down here. I'm talking to Albert Pujols, and we're pulling Albert Pujols autographed cards. I'm talking to Freddie Freeman. We got a Freddie Freeman dual patch, rookie auto relic. I mean, it's unbelievable the quality of the cards coming out. Ohtani autos, Trout autos. It's all about the autographs and memorabilia that they embed in the cards now. So we're doing this live. The reactions are live. The community in the chat is really what it's about too, because people who are not just buying into the breaks, you're coming just to watch and have a good time. It's entertainment. It's entertainment, it's community, and it's sports cards. And I'll tell you what, the fact that this is the first time we're doing breaks from the field, first time that really sports cards have been integrated into a baseball game, kind of blows my mind. And you're a collector too.
I am.
When you think about baseball, the game we all love, baseball cards are right there.
No doubt.
Like baseball
Pieces
cards.
of art that we all love. We grew up on them.
It's a piece of the game that you can own, that you can collect and cherish. So finally, Fanatics has come along and said, we're going to bridge that gap. It's not just about the plays on the field, the players, the atmosphere of the stadium. It's about the cards that you can collect and bring home with you. So I love the mission of Fanatics Live, the community they're building. Our mission truly is to get everyone here. You love sports, you love cards, come into the breaks. You don't have to buy, you could watch, and you have a community of other fans and collectors right there with you. Nothing beats it.
And you know how I know baseball cards are super hot? Because the actual players are into it now. Like, they're all into it.
Dude, from guys like Josh Jung, who we had on the show yesterday, he's like, oh, you're breaking Top Sterling? Yeah, I broke a couple boxes of that last week.
Right.
And then Brady House at the Futures game. This dude is hooked. We were talking before
All
the game.
these young guys are buying their own cards.
The fact that we have players collecting cards, getting into it themselves, that's also going to be more and more. My prediction is they're going to be breaking cards in the clubhouse, all getting jazzed around it, watching breaks, because we're at the cusp, the early innings, as they say.
Yes.
A very apt metaphor. The early innings of card breaking and bridging that gap between the cards and the sport.
Fanatics Live. I'm all in. I know you are, Scott.
Gripping and ripping, baby.
That was great.
Gripping and ripping.
The National Sports Collectors Convention is an absolutely wild scene for card fans. It's like the World Series for the hobby, and Carded was there in Chicago to take in the sights.
All right, I'm here at the National with Dr. Collectible. Doc, we are both veterans of the National, but how would you explain this chaos to a newbie?
This is the one place that you want to be at for a full week to get the best of the best when it comes to collecting. If you least collect what you love, you will leave out happy. What I'm talking
I better
about.
get to stretching.
Hey, let's get it.
Let's do it. One of the coolest things about the National is on-site same-day greeting. I'm with Zach from PSA. Zach, what is the process like here?
So you buy a card at the National, you bring it by our booth and drop it off with our excellent customer service team. We'll take it in the back and we'll have it done for you same day.
I I brought, you know, a little card from my PC.
Okay.
Can you work your magic for me?
Yes, definitely can. We'll have it back for you later today.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Thank
Definitely.
you.
You're
I'll see you in a
welcome.
few hours. The hottest product on the market right now is Topps Chrome 2023. It was just released. Ooh, there's my first auto. This might be one of the best cards I've ever pulled. Such a great place to see Hall of Famers right behind me. Mr. Tony Perez. There's Ozzie Smith. Hi, Mr. Perez. Big fan. I recognize this dude. What's up? It's Will with
Love it.
1 Million Cubs Project. Tell me all about it.
I'm trying to collect 1 million Cubs baseball cards. This is year 6, and I'm getting really
I was
close.
gonna say, what number are you at? Wow.
52.
Thought we'd add to your collection.
I love it.
Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us, but go get to work. You have a lot of work to do.
I do.
When I'm on the road at the National, I like to look for local and vintage, and obviously baseball.
Speaking of local, I have an unbelievable 1909 E90-1 Shoeless Joe Jackson, former Chicago Black Sox member.
$55,000 price tag. Okay, it's the end of the day. Apparently my card is ready. It is the moment of truth. Kevin is here from PSA.
Fresh from the oven.
Thank you, sir. How amazing is this? J-Rod Auto. From what I understand, though, this is Pop 1. You haven't graded one of these before?
It is, and we've never graded a card within this set. It's definitely an absolutely unique card at the moment. We hope to see more of them. This is the first of its kind that we've done.
The National is a really special event, and I learn more and more about what goes on there every year. For example, did you know about National Trade Night? Here's an inside look at this unique annual event.
All right, I'm with Jimmy Mahan from Roadshow Cards. He's a co-founder of this incredible trade night. This is my first one, Jimmy. What is going on?
It's hard to explain, right? So the first trade night was 50 people in a hotel conference room because I went to the National and everybody was trading after the show, like on the floor. I was like, I ain't trading on the floor. And so it started with 50 people, then it went to 200 people, then it went to 500 people. And then and Ryan Johnson, who was the other guy, I said, Ryan, come in, do this with me. And we have gotten to be friends just through cards and Instagram and trade night.
Jimmy Mahan and I, Kentucky Basketball Cards online, we talked about this idea as a way to elevate the hobby, to bring people online, in person, to trade after the show ended.
Yeah.
It's really special.
Okay, you know what? I'm a little bit overwhelmed, but I'm going in. Follow me. Baseball. I don't even know where to go, man. You got vintage?
Yeah.
This is my favorite. How did you hear about official trade night?
So I've probably done 10 nationals. I was at the Atlantic City one last year, and that trade night was really popular, so I went to that.
Is this one compared to Atlantic City last year? Is it bigger?
Yeah, way bigger.
Nicer.
You guys having fun? Yeah. It's your first trade night? Official trade night? Oh, is that a Bo Jackson?
Yeah, 1989 also. I was
Heck
there
yeah.
with my dad in Anaheim, 89.
Cool little purple refractor action right there. Julio Rodriguez. What is this? Christmas edition?
That's the red metallic.
That's awesome.
Print.
Red metallic. Very cool.
The fact that we've got a waiting list that long and this many people in here, it's something that every year we've really tried to build and build and build. And I think originally it was very under the radar because there wasn't a lot of people there. And then as it grew, you know, we had kind of talked to the National about, hey, could we work together on this? And I think they were a little skeptical at first, but once they attended, the first year was a couple years ago in Chicago, they're like, this is great, this is awesome for the hobby.
We go from the card overload that is the National to the more serene National Baseball Hall of Fame. Carded recently sat down with freshly minted Hall of Famer Fred McGriff for a cardboard trip down memory lane.
Hey, this is a beautiful card right here. This card tells you and lets you know that I got him.
First baseman, Fred McGriff.
The crime dog, Fred McGriff.
It's another home run for Fred McGriff. 30 home runs for 5 different teams.
This is a home run swing. When you see that finish high, you know that he's in the books. Randy Johnson, you know, and we got Randy here. Randy, we can be here talking all day about Randy, but I didn't have much success against Randy. But the thing about Randy, your whole goal was like, you know, everybody's watching, right? So all you want to do is try to make contact and put the ball in play. Don't get hit in the head and just try to pull it in play. Then we got Mr. Greg Maddox, another great teammate, great player. It's amazing how when you're playing with him, you're playing on his team, it's a beautiful thing because you look at the umpire, Maddox had this great strike zone, and you look at the umpire like ringing guys up left and right? So when you're facing him, and now all of a sudden, he's getting those same calls from the umpire, and you're like, come on, man.
1-1. Swung on, hit high in the air, deep toward left. Surhoff back in the well, and that one's long gone. A 2-run homer, and the Cubs lead 2-0.
Oh, another great Hall of Famer, Lee Smith. Great pitcher, great reliever, and I love Lee Smith because Lee took care of me and threw me a little fastball in the 1994 All-Star game.
And the ball is skied to left center field. Lofton goes back. Lofton to the fence. She's gone! When McGriff crosses, it's tied at 7.
I got him, home run, opposite field, crime dog. So I love Big Lee. Then we have Mr. Dwight Gooden. A lot of people don't know about Dwight, but this man is outstanding. I got total respect for this man. I grew up facing this man when I was 12, 13 years old. In Tampa, I played at West Tampa League. He played at Belmont Heights Little League. And this gentleman was awesome. One of the greatest curveballs around, just one of the greatest pitchers. And he just gave me, to see Dwight striking out 300 guys and so forth, it just gave me hope that, hey, this guy's doing that. He's from Tampa. I can do it.
Now the pitch to McGriff is hit high in the air to right center field. Gone, goodbye.
Mariano Rivera, cutter man, what can you say? He threw that cutter. He knew the cutter was coming. Finally, later in his career, I think people finally got smart because lefties had no chance against him. The cutter that will cut in on your bat, so if you tried to keep it fair, you were gonna get jammed. And then if you hit it good, the ball was gonna go foul.
On the run, Vaughn, and into right field for a base hit. So he fought off that cutter and kept it fair.
So teams started bringing in right-handed batters to face him because right-handed batters had a better chance against that cutter than lefty batters, but lefty, no chance.
Wow, if I had to pick one Yogiism that could pertain to baseball cards, it might just be it's deja vu all over again. Sure, Yogi Berra cards are popular with vintage collectors, but they're also important to Yogi's family, who keeps his story going for new generations of fans.
I'm Yogi Berra. I joined the Yankees in 1947.
He couldn't understand why people would even want his autograph, let alone his card.
I think if you told him that like some of his cards were selling for whatever they're selling for, he would say something like egads or
Yeah.
something funny like that.
My brother and I used his 250th home run ball in the park and lost it. We used the 2000th hit ball, we lost that. So we don't know where half the good stuff is.
Lawrence Peter Berra, known to everyone as Yogi, the star catcher of the New York Yankees.
So the museum opens in 1999. It's a cool place, and there's a lot of cool stuff here. We have Grandpa's MVP plaques and all 27 Yankees World Series rings, bronze gloves and equipment and all kinds of things that you can look at and touch. Grandpa was just an amazing human being, and we want to share his legacy with the next generation of baseball fans and non-baseball fans alike. It's a pretty good array. A lot of the most notable ones are on here.
My favorite cards are actually the 57 Power Hitters card, the one that has Dad with Mantle. You know, I like his black and white 48 Bowman, his rookie card.
This is the back of his 1948 Bowman rookie card. It says, "A Sandlot boy from Missouri, one of baseball's most colorful players." 1948, he's already got this reputation for being colorful.
Yogi Berra steps into a two-strike pitch and slams it over the wall and into Bedford Avenue for a mighty two-run homer.
This is the 57 Topps card. I like this card because it shows a good picture of Dad's face, and he's not really as bad looking as the newspapers say. This is the 1961. This is the year the Yankees hit all the home runs with Mantle and Maris, the big home run race. And Dad was one of the 3 catchers to hit 20 or more home runs. This is a 1951 Topps Special Edition Major League All-Star card. And I particularly like this card because it's pretty rare. This is a 1960 Bazooka card. These were on the boxes that held like 20 pieces of Bazooka gum. This is a 2002 Topps insert card featuring my father and my brother Dale. It's special to me because it's my father and my brother, but it's also a relic card. Inside the squares here are pieces of jerseys or uniforms that each one of them wore. There are several cards with my father and my brother on them by Topps, but this is the best one that I have.
There were so many parts of his story as an immigrant, as a veteran, as an underestimated kid who was told he was too ugly to be a Yankee. Like, there's just something in his story that resonates with everyone. Having the cards for me, as someone who was not around to see my grandfather play, and I've learned, as I got older about the great seasons that he had and the great accomplishments. It's kind of cool for me every time I come in here to just kind of glance at these cards and you think, oh, 1953, that's the year they won 5 in a row. Or 1956, that's the year that he caught Don Larson's perfect game. 51, that's the year he caught both Allie Reynolds' no-hitters. So I kind of like to have the cards as a reminder, like I can kind of look at his face and see what he looked like that year and attach some sort of a stat that I know to a visual of what he would have looked like in that season, and it just kind of helps me visualize in my mind what it would have been like to see him play because I didn't get that chance.
Topps Chrome is one of the most anxiously awaited sets each year. And just one look at these things, you can see why. They're awesome. I have a few packs of 2023s right here, and you can get your own by scanning the QR code on the screen. Now, I'm going to go ahead and rip these while you watch some legends of the game do some ripping of their own. Once again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Hopefully I get one of those taco fractors in this pack. That would be awesome. Everyone's talking about those. No. JT Realmuto, I'll take a JT Realmuto. Kate Cavalli's getting there. Okay, not a bad pack. Let me try another one.
It used to be the other way around. I'd chew the gum and throw the cards away. We'll see what we got in here, though.
Everybody collected cards when I was a kid, and for sure, one thing we looked at first was where's the bubble gum? All right, let's see who we got here. Mike Scott, absolutely. Face Mike Scott. I don't know. I probably got 30 at-bats against Mike Scott. Hit my 300th home run off of Mike Scott.
Against Mike Scott, Schmidt blasts one into the blue sky over Shea, and it's career home run number 300.
Bob Boone, my best friend ever in baseball, still is. I changed Darren's diapers. Well, actually, my wife changed his diapers. That's a baseball family right there.
Sid Fernandez of the Mets, he was always tough. Teamed up with, in the rotation with Gooden and Darling. Had the rising fastball.
Ricky Henderson. The back of this baseball card's probably pretty impressive. Great guy, fun guy to be around. He's got his own personality. And you got to love Ricky Henderson. Won a trip to Florida, the 1987 spring training camp.
Kurt Ford, a speedster with the Cardinals. Bob Gibson, my first Hall of Fame induction. Met him, he called me over there. We had a beer together and he said, Rhino, loved your career and thanks for your speech today. So Bob Gibson, one of my favorites.
All right, here we go. Kent Tekulve. Tons of at-bats when he was the closer for Pittsburgh. Kent came to the Phillies, was my teammate for many years in Philadelphia. Oh yeah, Submariner, sweeper they call it now, but it was a sweeper then too, they just gave it a new name now. Behind your back and it broke across the outside corner. I didn't like facing him.
Ed Hearn, the Royals, my first roommate in the minor leagues, Philadelphia Phillies, 1978-79. Pretty good set of cards here.
Bob Forsch, here you go. Are you sure you didn't put these guys in? I must have 50 at-bats against Bob Forsch. I have maybe more home runs against Bob than anybody else because I have more at-bats against Bob. I don't think my batting average is too high against this guy, but I had some success. You know you're going to have to pick all these up.